This goes on for some time, by the way. The actual post is very long, which has spawned... It is actually so over that people are making soy jacks of Donald Trump now. And it's not just like the lefties doing it either. Anyway, now that we've got a full complement on our team, you guys see Donald Trump getting ratioed, my goat washed? I speculated to this in the video about Jeffrey Epstein's emails, but it really seems like Trump's base is sort of turning around on him, and this is one of the ways in which it might be like unavoidable. You know, the MAGA base can overlook pedophilia. That much we know. Even though, as I've mentioned, a lot of them probably aren't like ideologically pro child rape themselves. You know, the quotidian pedestrian random MAGA person. What they do react to is supposed cuckery and not being the main character, the lack of that emotional narrative. They react to weakness. Yeah, it's hard for them to get around it when it's this obvious. And on top of that, Trump blew Bill Clinton, and there's no really getting around that either. And it is it's impossible for them to overlook what they view as an extreme betrayal of masculine strength or whatever from their God, Emperor, King, or whatever. Again, the psychosexual rears its head that these people are motivated by the image of psychosexual paternalistic or patriarchal strength. So when that image is shattered by Trump being the most diva bisexual pedophile of all time, who sucked off one of the worst presidents America's ever had, you know, they can't go for it anymore. The image, the emotional image that's been constructed around Trump begins to deteriorate, begins to crumble, you know? So they basically, it's like a power vacuum is being created because the image, the iconography, the brand of Trump is losing its power. Now the brand of Trump is associated with him really squirming under the spotlight of scrutiny with respect to the Epstein emails. It's associated with him getting ratioed by Marjorie Taylor Greene and crashing out on Truth Social. It's associated with him blowing Bill Clinton, you know, and having extremely degenerate pedophile sex parties. And the thing in the eyes of MAGA that makes them degenerate is that he was not the one sexually dominating all of the underage women. You know, not only that, but rather he was also giving head to Bill Clinton. Like that's the main thing, as fucking bizarre as it is. That is bringing this whole thing crashing down. Oh right, I need to get an extra max elixir and then go to Silent Chasm. And I'm here for it. Because I've been saying for a couple years that after Donald Trump, the Republican Party kind of doesn't have anything. They are at a severe deficit of the ability to make an emotional narrative and to find a like charismatic populist leader. They can't really do that. They tried to do that. And now it's like politically expedient for them to ditch Donald Trump, but I don't know that they don't have a very good replacement. They don't have anybody that they can really aura farm with. I guess that's a way easier way of putting it, is that Trump has kind of lost his ability to aura farm, and MAGA has by extension lost the ability to aura farm off of the aura of Trump, right? Meanwhile, the left has Zohran Mamdani. And we can just constantly aura farm off of Zohran Mamdani and Katie Wilson, all the other progressives that won their elections recently, especially Mamdani, because he's probably the most famous out of all of them, being the mayor-elect of the biggest city in the country, you know? But they don't have that. Basically, they have no bitches, they have no aura, they are coping and seething, and Trump is not helping that. So they need to move on from him and find a new source of aura for them to farm. If that makes sense. Here, hold on. Donald. I want to find the tweet where he gets ratioed. Here's a random person on Truth Social who screenshotted, rather, not on Truth Social, who screenshotted Truth Social talking about it. Unusual sight. President Trump is getting ratioed on Truth Social for asking his followers to move on from the Epstein files. Some say he's gaslighting, others say it'll cost him supporters or even kill MAGA. A sampling of some replies getting heavy engagement. So here, Trump crashing out. This goes on for some time, by the way. The actual post is very long, which has spawned. It is actually so over that people are making soy jacks of Donald Trump now, and it's not just like the lefties doing it either. 20,000 likes, 22,000 replies. Donald Trump getting ratioed on his own website. We want the elite pedos exposed. You promised us that. Pam promised us that. Cash promised us that. Now it's our fault because we want the promise fulfilled and call out Pam every time she lies. What else has she lied to us about? Again, they kind of like, they're doing everything they can to avoid directly responding to him. But the connection here is obviously unmistakable. Take a look at this one. 7,000 likes on this one. You're losing too many in your base. Have an aid collect what we were saying all over social media. Pam Bondi's not been telling us the truth. Her story changed each time. Sir, you need to listen to us. Are you aware of how long and hard many of us work to get the truth? We refuse to give this a pass. For us, this will not go away. This is about the children. Prayer emoji, American flag, heart, American flag, prayer emoji. Great, thank you. The frustration is building. They're beginning to realize, like, we can't aura farm off of Donald Trump anymore. It's going to cost you so many supporters, I being one of them. I've been to multiple rallies. Was even there on January 6th. I intend to supply this screenshot to the next Democratic administration. Thank you. One of the main things that needs to be fixed, our two-tiered system of justice needs to end. We the people are tired of it. Can't be charged with child trafficking without there being perpetrators. Alan Dershowitz, who was accused of being one of them, has seen the list when he went to defend himself. Oh yeah, Alan Dershowitz is legendarily implicated. He's like he's a lolcow even among the right wing. Want the guilty to pay. Appears you or a loved one was in on it and you want this to go away. This coming from like an actual... This guy was a J6er by his own admission. You or a loved one is in on it. He's actually losing his base over this. More gaslighting. I thought you were above this. Again, some of the most divorced dads imaginable, but like this is the MAGA base. This is representative of the far right base in America. You'll never hear the end of this if you don't instruct the complete release of the names of those in power both in DC and Hollywood who rape children. Don't become part of the swamp that you fought so hard to defeat. And of course, Trump's not going to do that because his name would be on there. Several times. People posting, dear God, it's beautiful. Great, thank you. Random replies, my ADHD brain gets distracted and activated. This has been really glorious to see. There was a tweet by Marjorie Taylor Greene, which I will not pull up because it's easy enough to find on its own, that got something like 100,000 or 200,000 likes on Twitter, which of course Twitter is going to have larger engagement numbers than Truth Social. But even still, ratioing Donald Trump that hard when you are the first politician to ever get into office riding his coattails. Marjorie Taylor Greene was kind of the right-wing antithesis to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, right? Like one of the first people to gain power off of the back of the new populist wave of energy. You know, on the right was MAGA, on the left it's the progressives and the left. She was like his earliest and most consistent defender, and now she has turned on him. And she seems to be like in a favorable position with respect to like the public media war, if that makes sense, you know? I genuinely don't know what comes after MAGA. Maybe like even more insane populism, but like how long can that even last? You know? I don't know. I genuinely don't know. I guess it'll be okay. If we're viewing this as a cycle of like escalatory rhetoric, because the Republicans across the board, if you ask them their opinion on any issue, any given issue or set of issues, they'll believe more or less the same things, right? But this isn't about that. It's about emotional appeals. And emotional, you know, the psychosexual demands like a greater and greater degree of exaggeration. Basically, the cock and balls has to be continually larger and larger and larger, right? Which translates to escalatory rhetoric, right? You have to be more based in red pilled, more based in red pilled. You have to be like even more openly anti-immigrant. You have to be more flagrant and scandalous and spicy with your rhetoric in order to continually draw the attention and interest of your political base. To a certain extent, that actually goes for the left as well, the sort of escalatory rhetoric, but less so. I'll get to that in a second. Particularly for the right, I think that like we might be reaching an ultimate like point of escalation where it's not really possible to emotionally escalate your rhetoric beyond the wave of Republicans that Marjorie Taylor Greene is going to bring into the picture, right? That the post-MAGA base will be will like resemble, you know? For the left, there's a similar and slightly, somewhat emotionally driven as well, escalatory cycle, but it largely revolves around what are you willing to do. It's sort of like an escalation that matches how sharp and how severe the contradictions in society are at the moment. Basically, what I'm saying is that the left is correct and the right is incorrect. Thank you. But it's kind of crucial to understanding this because, like, the escalation of rhetoric on the left tends to match how desperate people are and how, like, what the socioeconomic moment looks like, you know, the growing rent crisis, the growing cost of utilities and healthcare and whatever else, and with respect to stagnating take-home pay. It's an emotional escalation that has to be followed through on because you have to emotionally escalate in order to break through the wall of like the neoliberal political machine and start addressing these like foundational socioeconomic issues, right? So there is a bit of escalation there too. And that's what results in socialists like Zoran Mamdani and Katie Wilson gaining so much ground in local politics because, you know, people are tired of the very lame, like literally lame, not, you know, not having any particularly interesting or active qualities about it, centrism that local Democratic and Republican politicians tend to offer, you know? Basically, we have tried nothing, and that didn't work. So let's try not nothing. Let's try escalating the matter. Let's try, you know, being more bold. Let's try doing something that'll actually, like, step on the interests of very wealthy but very small groups of people, in order to, like, make society less unlivable for everybody else, you know, radical suggestion. Nonetheless, it's a cycle of there's a cycle of rhetorical escalation. I think it's much more simple and emotionally driven on the right because they are much more simple and emotionally driven as people. That's not even like purely my opinion. That is the academic consensus that right-wing belief is motivated by emotion and reactive emotional responses, and particularly the disgust response, rather than any sort of I don't know, more academically or intellectually grounded view of the world. But the nice thing is that makes political analysis of the right wing a lot easier. No, I still need to go to floors 7 and 8. So yeah, the orange is the new orange. Marjorie Taylor Greene or I guess green is the new orange. Marjorie Taylor Greene replacing Donald Trump. I mean, I was gonna say orange because they're like both pretty orange looking, I guess. But that's kind of just a politician thing. Nonetheless, Donald Trump is kind of falling off. He's already taken the L in the ratio. And we're watching him fall off in real time. Bro literally fell off plus L plus ratio. And now Marjorie Taylor Greene seems to be one of the emerging new faces of the Republican Party. And I actually don't know where that's going to go, but it's you know, it's nonetheless an advancement of the dialectic. Professional dialectics enjoyer over here, you know. But whatever happens next, I actually don't think it looks particularly good for the Republican Party. Because like I mentioned, an essential key to a political movement, especially one at a national level, is you need some sort of parasocial connection to the person that's at the head of it. You need that charisma. You need to be able to aura farm off of your political leaders. In order to do that, they need to be charismatic and have aura, you know, which Marjorie Taylor Greene kind of doesn't. And nobody in the Republican Party really does right now, you know. But whoever it is, they can't rely on Donald Trump, and that's their problem, is they don't have anybody else. So rest in piss, bozos. Woke is back. Shoutouts Kyle Kalinske, fucking banger meme to come from the Kyle Kalinske channel as of late. It's gonna be a very interesting next several years of politics, I think. If myself and others are correct about this being kind of the end of Donald Trump's relevance as a brand in politics. At the risk of further repeating myself, cut it there.
Thanks for watching, and support the channel if you would be so kind.